quite a large number came from this part of the country, what used to be eastern Nigeria, and particularly many of the senior officers. Senior officers also came from other parts of the country. But from this side, because the people from here, from Biafra, that is the old eastern Nigeria, very go-ahead people. And a number of them had joined the army in the officer corps. And quite a lot of these were killed during the July pogrom. And I myself, I'm not an Igbo man, but I was to be killed also, and I just managed to escape. And a few of the officers escaped, but very many were killed. Those that were killed came from what was then eastern Nigeria. For instance, Major Rock is not an Igbo man, but he was killed. He was killed in Kaduna. Major Kanam was killed in Lagos, and he is not an Igbo man. And several others like that. I'm trying to say that the people, the officers killed, came not just from one tribe, but from the eastern Nigeria as it then was.
Yes.
And so there you are. It was lucky for those of us that escaped.
I september begynte nye store uroligheter I nord, som førte til at mellom 20 og 30 000 iboer ble massakrert. Mesteparten av
IPOB, one family. Biafrans all over the world. If we want safety and security for our people, then let's continue to support Eastern Security Network. All donations are welcome. No contribution is too small or too large. Do your part, knowing that freedom is in our hands, and together we must all rise to the occasion. Go to our website to make your contribution, www.ipobinUSA.org/donate. And remember that freedom is not free, but together we restore it, farm by farm, forest by forest, house by house, and street by street.
How do you cage Nnamdi Kanu? In fact, I want to call that Nnamdi Kanu should be released. A freedom fight agitator who said that, look, he wants liberation for his people. Why are you incarcerating him? Why are you not going to arrest Fulani men? Look at the bomb blast in train blast in Abuja to Kaduna. Up to today, our people are still being kept by these bandits. Where are the security? Where is the president? Where is the security act to go out and rescue these people? Tell me what is happening. It is a shame. Tell me, Igboho, they went after him in the southwest and were able to stop him. At least we're not hearing about Igboho again. Why can't they stop these Fulani men who are terrorizing this country and have made it impossible? They come to Benue and kill, just in my local government, within the space of 40 people have been killed, more than 40 people. In another local government, over 20 people were killed, and then you want me to keep quiet. They want to intimidate us. I will never be intimidated. At least, let me talk. If at the end nothing happens, and some of you are keeping quiet, keep quiet to your shame. But I want to say that the rest of Nigerians, you people are joking. I raised alarm in 2016 that these things were going to happen. What is it that I have not said? I have said it. If Nigerians want to get out of this, they should arise. Arise Television, as your name implies. Arise and let us liberate ourselves. President Buhari and his cohorts are not able to do it.
After Elizabeth. What then of the outlook for Nigeria and Britain after Elizabeth? Here I think we must be guided by history. I turn first to words spoken by the Secretary of State for the Colonies, Oliver Lyttelton, Lord Chandos, as he was otherwise known, on the 21st of May, 1953, during the emergency debate on Nigeria's constitutional future, roughly a week before Queen Elizabeth's coronation. This is what he said. Recent events have shown that it is not possible for the three regions of Nigeria to work together effectively in a federation so closely knit as that provided by the present constitution. Her Majesty's government in the United Kingdom, while greatly regretting this, considered that the constitution will have to be redrawn to provide for greater regional autonomy and for the removal of powers of intervention by the centre in matters which can, without detriment to other regions, be placed entirely within regional competence. It is, at the same time, necessary to ensure that the common economic and defence requirements of all regions are secured. I next turn to the words of Sir Peter Smithers, who was the Parliamentary Private Secretary to the Minister of State and the Secretary of State in the Colonial Office from 1952 to 59 in the run-up to Nigeria's independence. He was also the Secretary General to the Council of Europe from 1964 to 1969. Writing in the Times on July the 15th, 1998, he said this: "Sir, during the negotiations for the independence of Nigeria, the view of the Secretary of State at that time, with which I agreed, was that in Nigeria we should attempt to put together a large and powerful state with ample material resources which will play a leading part in the affairs of the continent and the world. This was attractive, but it involved forcing several different ethnic and cultural groups into a single political structure. The negotiations were complex and very difficult. The chief problem, as I remember, relating significantly to the control of the police and the military. In the retrospect of 40 years, it is clear that this was a grave mistake, which has cost many lives and will probably continue to do so. It would have been better to establish several smaller states in a free trade area. In exculpation, it must be said that we did not then have the examples of the collapse of Yugoslavia, I knew Princess Katerina will respond to that. We did not have the examples of the collapse of Yugoslavia and of the Soviet Union before our eyes. It should now be clear for all but the willfully blind to see that it is extremely dangerous to force diverse racial and social entities into a single rigid structure, such as that which is being built upon the foundation of the Maastricht Treaty. Recent history suggests that it would be best to complete the development of the common market and to call a halt to political integration in Europe. Well, we all know about Brexit, don't we? Let me conclude these remarks by sharing with you what the new Nigeria will look like. I turn to the French philosopher Rousseau, 18th century, who defined the challenge as follows: the problem is to find a form of association which will defend and protect with the whole common force the person and good of each associate, and in which uniting himself with all may still obey himself alone and remain as free as before. This is the fundamental problem which the social contract provides the solution for. I ask those words in relation to Nigeria to be imagined as the Orange Union, in contradistinction to the Union of the Apple. When you peel the skin of the orange, you will see the segments sitting comfortably side by side, together making the composite whole. Whereas when you peel the skin of the apple, you see the indistinguishable mass. That Orange Union, in which the ethnic groups uniting to make the whole in association, but in which, an association in which they may still obey their own priorities and remain as free as before. I conclude by
Nigeria on a daily basis witness the impunity which is so-called Fulani herdsmen extremists who share an ethnic and religious identity with President Buhari and the Fulani elite, which now dominates all key institutions in Nigeria.
To open an investigation specifically into the wide-scale and systematic killing of the civilian population, and most notably targeting the indigenous people of Biafra.
Clear that now we've put the Biafran issue on the radar screen of the government, of the Biden administration, of Congress.
Ongoing and wide-scale systematic killing of the civilian population, and again, specifically targeting the IPOB.
Of weapons being used against Biafrans, but affirmatively supporting an effort to have a independence referendum organized and conducted by the United Nations, as was done in South Sudan.
They formally open an investigation and look into what we are identifying as a genocide that's being committed by the Nigerian government and extremist Fulanis against the indigenous people of Biafra.
There's been nothing in experience since 1960 to suggest there simply is not a way, given the history of division between the Fulani and the Biafrans, to think that they can coexist under a single sovereign roof.
Finish? But you get so many of that now. This was the situation you saw in the sick bases. Masses of children lying in the sand. They looked at you and didn't see you any longer, you know. Their eyes were so, they were not there any longer. Waiting for water.
We have to stop.
I took a lot of photos of women.
Fellow Nigerian, in search of excellence for Africa, my mission remains to create awareness, advance practical solutions, and transform mindsets via case studies. Together, let's midwife deliverance for our race, country, and continent. Please share this video. I am Dr. Israel Noyaram David.
Somebody else was.
Thank you. In 2001, US-led forces overthrew a Taliban-led Afghan government following the 9/11 attacks led by the Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. For the next 20 years, the US and allies enforced democratic ideals, built up Afghan security forces, and provided operational air cover. The Taliban continued to attacks. Now, eventually, under President Trump, the US promised to pull out if Taliban agreed to stop attacks and hosting terrorist groups. Today, the Taliban militants have declared Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan and overrun most of the country at lightning speed with little or no resistance from the 300,000 US trained and heavily equipped Afghan forces. US general could not believe an army could crumble at that rate.
I did not, nor did anyone else, see a collapse of an army that size in 11 days. There'll be many postmortems on this topic, but right now is not that time.
It is believed the Afghan soldiers, though diehards, had unquenchable allegiance to jihadist ideologies practiced by Taliban. There were Afghan soldiers by day, Taliban at heart, and Taliban at night. A situation some suggest currently exists in Nigeria too. So Afghanistan was simply handed over to the mullahs to govern based on their shared jihadist ideological leaning. The south and middle belt of Nigeria should wake up with urgency. The Afghan situation is cooking fast in Nigeria today. Afghanistan is number 1 on global terrorist list. Nigeria is number 3. Second.
Somebody else was asking me, for God, what do you think about the man called Simon Ekpa? I said, Simon Ekpa is possessed. And the people begin to ask, what kind of possessed? And I told them, I said, Simon Ekpa is fully possessed and also is a man that everybody should be careful to stay out. What's the meaning of that? The meaning of that is what is possessed with the spirit of freedom. When somebody is possessed with the spirit of freedom, it will be in such a way that the person has no any other thing to do to fight for freedom. So you look at the Biafra land as a place called the fatherland of Biafra. The spirit of freedom right there in Biafra has already completely possessed Simon Ekpa. And as he has possessed Simon Ekpa, you that is trying to begin make noise or fight with him or do one or the other, you are also fighting the spirit of freedom. And if anything happened to you, it is not my concern, because you don't understand how spiritual things and the things of the spirit goes. Because in the realm of the spirit, when God wants to make sure somebody is used for a purpose, the person will be used based on the coming upon the spirit or what they can that has possessed you, or the spirit that has possessed you. So spirit of freedom is already in his life and has possessed him fully, and they cannot talk any other thing than what's called freedom. And if anybody needs to move on the same direction or the same path, you must also come to the level of that level of spirit of freedom to endow you and possess you. And then you can be able to talk about freedom. People that talk about freedom with empty mouth, they end up carried by chaff. When the wind blow, they are carried away. People that talk about freedom, when something bribe is given to them, they will just betray and go away. But people that are possessed with the spirit of freedom, with the spirit of Biafra land, no matter the bribe you give to them, they will never accept your bribe. They will never agree with you. If you like, take presidency of social country, they will never accept it from you, except that freedom that has possessed them, that they are after. That's what they go about. So Simon Ekpa is already filled with the spirit of what's called freedom fighting. And so you should stay clear and not fight the man that has received what is called the grace or received the power or the spirit of freedom. Don't fight that man. Fighting that man will destroy your life. It may even cost you what you will never, you and your generation may suffer it. So I am not here to begin to follow anybody or side anybody. I am here to throw the light of what I am seeing in the spirit, because the spiritual control physical. And when I'm giving the message that's called the spiritual message, I pass it raw the way it is. Simon Ekpa is a man that has already been filled and also possessed fully with the spirit of freedom. And spirit of freedom is not the kind of spirit that you joke with. When Jesus came upon the face of the earth, he said, the spirit of the Father is upon me, for he has anointed me. The spirit of the Lord has come upon me. He has anointed me to preach the good tidings, to spread the good news, to carry the word of God all over the place. And Jesus went about, was doing exactly what the spirit of the Father possessed him to do. And that same spirit was what made him, that even to extent that he died on the cross and was buried, and on the third day he resurrected, because there's a spirit that quickeneth the dead body. And the spirit quickened Jesus, and Jesus went up and began to do exactly what he came to the world to do. So Simon Ekpa, you are saying, is a disciple of what's called freedom fighting, and the spirit of freedom has fully possessed him, and you can never separate him from that spirit, and they can never one day wake up and talk about any other thing rather than talking about freedom. And that is why most of the revelations you are seeing, and most of the deep mysteries and deep things that is bringing out here and there, is based on the spirit of freedom that is upon his life. So if you want to stop him, go first of all and remove the spirit of freedom out of him. So when you remove the spirit of freedom, then you can have a way. But if you cannot remove the spirit of freedom, you better join him and not fight him. That is what's going on. And then you come to the Biafra land as a Biafra nation. All the people that must talk about freedom are people in the class of what's called Jim or Jumegu or Juku. We talk about people. You go straight away. You talk about somebody like Namo Decano. You talk about every other person that is not known, but they are hurt. You talk about Simon Ekpa. You talk about Major Prophet David King Elijah. We are not talking about this freedom based on, we are so, or we want to collect money or this or that. We are talking about the emancipation of God's people. God's people is in Nigeria, and also their light is not shining. It's supposed to shine the way it ought to shine, to change the destiny of Africa, to change the destiny of the people right here in the South Africa and the West Africa, Nigeria side, to change their destiny, to even bring a blessing to Yorubas, to the Hausas, to Fulanis and everywhere, to bring the light that will shine permanently. But it is quite unfortunate that some people are.
I am Olayomi Koiki of Koiki Media, and also the spokesman for Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho. First and foremost, I'm going to try and speak English to direct message back to the IPOB that we are Yorubas, a very proud one. Whatever you have against what took place yesterday, you have the right in your own capacity, but you don't have the right to tell us who we deal with among you IPOB. We can deal with anybody that we feel that is the right person to deal with. If you have problem with that, you can go into any of the bridge or rivers across the world where you are and jump into that river and die. I am known as Koiki Media, And whatever we do with Simon Ekpa has been stamped yesterday, the 5th of November, and that will go ahead. Whatever is your concern on that, we don't give a toss. My name is Olawumi Koiki. Maybe some of you don't know who I am. Let me repeat this clearly, that the only person that we follow is our own leader that have spoken yesterday. And since our leader have spoken, if you are not comfortable with that, why should we care about that? Let me say it again. If you have problem with Simon Ekpa, go and die into any of the river, or you can take the rope and kill yourself today. We are fighting one single enemy. We don't have any issue with the Biafra. We only have issue with the Fulani. Don't you understand that also among us, we have issues. We have people that probably even do not believe in what we are doing. So why should we be more concerned about you on what we do with Simon Ekpa? And I repeat again to any Yoruba that is not comfortable with what we done yesterday, go and die as well. Eloku, Yoruba, mad people all over the place. We have moved forward yesterday, and that is the beginning. I have spoken again this morning to Chief Sunday Igboho. For those of you tẹ́fẹ́ convince Igboho pé kó má ní kankan ṣe pẹ̀lú Simon Ekpa, orí yín ti gbálẹ̀ gbogbo yín pátápátá. Gbogbo ẹni mo fi sọ ní bíbá, orí gbogbo yín ti gbálẹ̀ ni mo sọ. Mo sọ fún yín pé ẹ lè wàárín èmi àti Chief Sunday Igboho, ẹ lè wọ̀ láyé. Kí ni mo sọ? Ẹ lè wọ̀ láyé. I don't have any problem with our Biafra. Can you talk about our Biafra? We deal with Simon Ekpa. And let me put this on record for those of you that probably did not know. Before Nnamdi Kanu was picked up, we had 4 meetings. I don't have to go into all the details. Myself was in that meeting. It was actually Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that called for that meeting. We did not go for him. He actually wanted to speak to us. And whatever he told us is what we are going along with. We respect all the legal representative of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We don't have any problem with you guys. But if you think that by dealing with Simon Ekpa is a crime against humanity, I say it again, go and die. You better die now before it is too late. Because we are fighting only one enemy. And that enemy is not Simon Ekpa. That enemy is not even the Biafra. But if you as an individual that think that, hey, take down that picture of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, let me say this clearly. Nnamdi Kanu is not just for the Biafra. He was actually fighting for the whole humanity. And let me say this again. We have the right to use Mazi Nnamdi Kanu picture at any time, any day, and I will talk about it at any time without taking any instruction from anybody. I am Olawumi Koiki. If you are not comfortable with that, like I said, I am not Mayegun General. This is Koiki Media, fighting for one singular cause, fighting for the Yoruba people, the Biafra people, the Arewa people, and all the freedom fighters around the world that would love to exit that shithole country known as Nigeria. If you are not comfortable with that, there's not much I can do.
You must go and listen to Simon Ekpa, who is doing a very fantastic job. Very great job that Simon Ekpa is doing. Very, very, absolutely fantastic job that he's doing. You must listen to him and share his videos accordingly. Very, very important. He is bringing a new dimension to this very awareness that we're making, and you must listen to him. Very, very important.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, fellow Biafrans all over the world. I have come this evening for yet another State of the Nation broadcast. In response to the invasion, killing in Biafra land by the Nigeria Boko Haram controlled military and the bandit in the name of Ebubago that are operating in Biafra land, and they are not Biafrans. Without wasting much of your time, on this day, the 8th day of November 2022, dear Biafrans, families and friends, and those who are with us today in the liberation phase of Biafra, we need to pay attention and at the same time to pay some respect to those who were dear to us that today have lost their lives, and those who also have lost their properties to the Nigeria terrorist government. Also to those who may have lost their businesses, those who lost their businesses in Onitsha, those who lost their businesses in Imo State, those that their market and shops were burnt in Izombe, those that the Nigeria terrorist Fulani masterminded the bombardment of their properties in Lagos, those in Kano. Each day we come to give a broadcast like this, we have to remember all those atrocities against Biafra people across Nigeria. Yesterday was yet another sad day for Biafrans. Today also is still yet again another sad day for Biafra. We've seen how the Nigeria army, controlled by Boko Haram, as everybody knows, invaded a community called Izombe, and they burned the businesses of Biafrans and destroyed their properties. I am going to show just a very brief clip. What you are looking at is the evidence
Izombe market is burnt.
Of the bombardment of Biafra.
Izombe market.
Unprovoked.
Everywhere is burnt.
While all these are happening every blessed day, those who call themselves politicians in Biafra land, you will not hear them speak. The responsibility is therefore on us from today. We speak for them We fight for them, we protect them, we give them security, and this has been the plight of Biafrans and every other indigenous nationality in Nigeria. You buy yourself a security, you buy yourself water, you pay your school, you buy social amenity for yourself, you pay for your own security. At the end, the only thing you have left is a terrorist Nigeria with fraud, Nigeria with scammers, and all those names as a result of the Janjaweed policies that have destroyed your future. Today, I can assure you that Biafrans have raised men and women of valor. Today, we can beat our chests and say, those who died in their millions during the Biafra genocide have given birth to men. And these men have risen up, and we will take it upon Nigeria and upon ourselves to liberate our people and free them from this bondage. 2 years ago, a community in Biafra land called Ohofia resolved to boycott every consumption of beef in response to this particular invasion of Fulanese. The scorched earth policy of the rampaging Fulani terrorists masquerading themselves as herdsmen. Ohofia community took it upon themselves and they banned, they boycotted everything that has to do with beef. As I speak to you today, the Nigeria-controlled terrorist government till tomorrow, the Nigeria Army barracks at the Ebem Ohofia doubled today as a cattle colony and a safe haven for the Fulani kidnappers. To the knowledge of the Nigeria authority, especially the commanding officer of the Nigeria Army, which is giving them security and cover-up. As I speak to you today, because of the singular act of the Ohofia people boycotting of the Fulani evil meat, just this past week, over 50 civilians were killed. And the houses of people in Ohofia set ablaze. And the Ohofia commander or garrison commander is still bragging, boasting how he's going to spill more Biafra blood in our own land. A lot is happening, and probably because the November we have entered is the official month, the liberation of Biafra will start. I want to remind you today, you know, in a failed state like Nigeria, terrorists take advantage of the failed state, and each time they perpetrate this terrorism or terrorist attack, the ignorant citizen, immediately after each terror attack, will help them to tell a different narrative without investigation. This has been favoring the caliphate and the terrorist Nigeria. This narrative must change. Biafrans, from today, whatever happened in your vicinity, you do not need to tell the story. Because we are under terrorist attack. We are under foreign Fulani invasion sponsored by the Nigeria government, and they can come and they can attack in different ways. So therefore, the narrative must change. You must not conclude on anything whenever such attack happen. the Nigeria terrorist government understand how ignorant some of you in Nigeria are. And each time they mastermind the attack, they will allow you to tell the story. Just like today, attack in Obogu Market, in the health bridge of Onitsha. You listen to the story of ignorant traders telling you chemical explosion. What chemical explosion? That was a terrorist attack. You don't give them the narrative that favors their terrorism. You must not give them the narrative that favors them. We are changing it from tonight. Today, there is a mural in the Zombe town of Imo State where many people lost their lives in Nigeria. Boko Haram control military joined with a Bubago terrorist attack in that community yesterday, being the 7th day of November 2022. We are yet to know the numbers of people that they killed. We are yet to know numbers of victims of this particular attack. Businesses of Biafrans, properties of Biafrans, the market of Biafrans were burned down to ashes. Yet, no single politician in Biafra land is talking. Do you understand the reason why we are going to burn down every INEC office in Biafra land from tonight? We'll bring them down. We are not going to allow any representative from tonight anywhere in Biafra. It is going to take time, but I will tell you today, it is a step at a time. One step at a time. The revolution have just begun. It is going to be a gradual process. And you must listen to the instruction. I want to remind you, Biafra people, we are mourning victims of terrorism, victims of attack, victims of those who have fallen into the Nigeria terrorist-controlled army in Biafra land. Both those killed by the state actors and non-state actors. Each of their lives were different in their unique ways. They came from different places and background, yet they all suffered the same absurd fate. Like hundreds of others in the street of Olu, in the street of Ihala, in Nsukka, in Onichibweze, in Iguacha, and other part of Biafra land and beyond. The same fate has befall many Biafrans, and nobody, no elected official from Biafra land ever spoke for them. Nobody has ever raised their voice to speak on behalf of the people that suffered to elect them to represent them in Nigeria, Evo state. None. No one is speaking. The governors are the one bringing them to kill. Only those who support their government and their annihilation and killings are those that are benefiting from them. Every other person in Nigeria struggle for everything you do in your life. You will struggle to go to school. You will struggle to get water to drink. You will struggle to build your own road. You will struggle to get electricity for yourself. You will struggle to go and pay for medical bills. You will struggle everything in your life. You are going to struggle to get. Yet, after all this struggling and trying to make your life meaningful, the Fulani from foreign land will come and destroy it in one day. And every 4 years, you will stand up and go to suffer yourself and vote. In the process of voting, you risk your life, and some of you get killed by political thuggery. We need a nation that you will be treated like a human being. We need a nation just Biafra, where the human life will be valued. I'm telling you, we remember each and every one of you. The fire in Onitsha Market, the bomb explosion in Ablado, Lagos, the burning of market in Kano. The list can go on and on. Today, we have been bombarded again at Onitsha Ogbogu Market. This day, which is a very historic day in the liberation of Biafra, we also remember each and every one of you who lost your businesses and properties and everything you have labored for. But I want to tell you today, remembrance must lead to action every day. After every terrorist attack by the Nigeria state against Biafra, we all try to go back to our normal lives. Yet, the victims and their families, for the survivors of this particular evil attack by the Nigeria state, that is just impossible. They can never go back to their normal life. It is impossible. Nigeria is a country where there is no insurance scheme. Once your business is gone, it is gone. You will be reduced to a nomadic lifestyle. So it is impossible for the victims of Ahia to go back to their normal life. It is impossible for the victim of Izombe to go back to their normal life. It is impossible for these people who have been a victim of a Nigeria state to go back to their normal life. That is why we must all stand in solidarity with them and support their need, while we continue to work to ensure that these tragedies do not happen again without retaliation. I want to tell you, first of all, we must stand by the survivors of this Nigeria terrorist government attack and their families. Those who have lived with the scars of Nigeria Fulani terrorist act need special support. That is why we are working very hard to liberate Biafra by 2023, so that Biafra can help them and rebuild their lives in a very short period. Otherwise, nothing else will ever work for them. We understand that in quest for Biafra liberation and freedom next year, they initiated the change of Naira note. We want to tell them that we know that was coming. And we don't want to make public statement on that. Everybody will pay the price. Biafrans and Biafra government, when restored, will give them support and will also facilitate compensation when possible, and to help them get back to a normal life as soon as possible. The second thing I want to mention to Biafra today is the Biafra freedom will heal all this wound that Nigeria government has inflicted on you. The wound of slavery. And this particular healing of this wound will bring lasting peace to Africa. Poverty and hunger can be fought through inclusion and education. And that is the only thing that will heal this particular wound. And Biafra will make it possible. This is the reason Biafra must be preached to our children, young ones, and our business places. This must be done every day in our communities, in our schools, in our public debate. And I'm happy that we have succeeded, and today our children are all listening to the awareness of the Biafra freedom. The third thing I want to mention this evening, which is very crucial, that every person in our Biafra provinces has the right to feel safe in their street and in their homes. And this requires cooperation within every agitating group. This I will continue to put emphasis on. We need to work together to tackle this Nigeria terrorist network across our state, to deny them the access to intels against our security network. By joining forces, we can maintain our community as area of freedom and security. This we have also been able to achieve. And we have recorded huge success in the past 4 months. I must tell you today that the commanders of the Eastern Security Network have dealt mercilessly with terrorists attacking our people. And have worked very, very well to make our communities and farmland safer. Those of you in Biafra land, you can testify to this. Those who couldn't go to their farmland 3 years ago, you understand this better now than anyone else. But today, we are faced with another dangerous challenge. The challenge of kidnapping by the Fulani terrorists in collaboration with the Nigeria army, controlled by Boko Haram. They are now the biggest challenge in Biafra land. They took guns, they took armored tanks, they have military uniform, and they come in Biafra land in the name of Operation Golden Dawn and whatever nonsensical name they give them. All they do is to stand on checkpoint, kidnap our people, give cover to criminals and the terrorists from the Sahel, and they kidnap 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers away from their military checkpoint. Everything that glitters is not gold. The time to fight the Fulani repentant Boko Haram that are now in our land in the name of military in Nigeria is not aftermath of their destruction of Izombe. It is not aftermath of them attacking Ihiala. It is not aftermath of attacking Olu. It is not aftermath of attacking Osuka. It is not aftermath of attacking Iguacha. It is every day. And every day we will fight them. At the same time, we will be fighting the liberation of Biafra. We also take solemn vow to eradicate terrorists, both those in uniform and those, the non-state actors from Biafra land, and to build a Biafra that is freer and more secured for our women and our children. The attack yesterday in Izombe has shown the fear they have over Biafra coming in 2023. When you look at the market, does it look like a place where you have gunmen? Does the market look like a place where you have gunmen camping? Does it look like a place you have the liberation force of Biafra? Does it look like a place you have the Eastern Security Network? The answer is no. So I must tell you that the continual burning and destruction of our villages by the Nigerian military have shown the fear over Biafra coming in 2023. They simply want us to start our campaign. And let me tell you today, we are ready for that campaign. The campaign will not come the way they want it. We decide how we are going to carry out this campaign. We decide how we are going to fight them. They are not going to tell us how we fight them. We decide how to fight them and how we will fight them and when we will start fighting them. This attack against innocent Biafrans have helped us to build the case we have against Nigeria. And from tonight, we're going to make a very strong pronouncement. So responding to the killings of people in Izombe, in response to the burning of our market in Biafra land and beyond, to the destruction of Biafra market, businesses, properties across Biafra land and beyond, the Biafra Liberation Force has declared from tonight economic war against the evil terrorist Nigeria economy. Until the last day, Biafra will exit Nigeria. From tonight, we have officially declared economic war. I'm going to explain what this economic war means. The economic war and sabotage will be taken directly to all oil installation and oil pipelines across Biafra land, taking effect from tonight. From tonight, our target is to make sure that everything Nigeria government have done to Biafra people in their market, we are going to inflict the same pain to everything that brings money to the economy of Nigeria. From tonight, our aim as we enter the liberation of Biafra from today is that everything that Nigeria is getting from Biafra land, we are going to crush them as a response to the destruction of our businesses and market. In our preparation and the readiness to further stop Nigeria from conducting election in Biafra in 2023, from tonight, every INEC office in Biafra land will suffer the same fate, just like Izombe market suffered. Every INEC office anywhere in Biafra territory will suffer the same fate, just like Izombe suffered, just like Ihiala suffered, just like Olu suffered, just like Ahia Ototo suffered, just like all the market in Biafra land that the Nigeria terrorist government have ordered the bombardment. They will all suffer the same fate from tonight. Every INEC office in Biafra land will be treated the same way. the best self-defense is to attack. We therefore call on all Biafrans to keep off from any INEC office in your area. Keep off, distance yourself from there, because those INEC offices will suffer the same fate that Nigeria government have given to our businesses and our communities. From tonight, the fight and the liberation of Biafra from Nigeria has begun. And in the coming days, we are going to make more pronouncement and more directives will be given. The liberation of Biafra is now official. And finally, every action coming from the coming days, we are going to make it more pronounced, and the directive will come as we go on. The liberation of Biafra for the second time is now official. And finally, every action coming from Biafrans are also geared at releasing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu unconditionally. We thank our Oduduwa Yoruba brothers and our alliances. The historic alliance that we have formed will remain, and we've just started. May God bless Biafra. May God bless Oduduwa nation as we wait for other nations from Nigeria. May God bless you all, the Biafra people. Thank you.
Welcome to Gravitas. My name is Priyanka Sharma. Here's what's coming up on the show tonight.
Don't worry, we're going to free Iran. They're going to free themselves pretty soon.
پشت تریبون رسمی گفتنش شاید این اولین بار بود اتفاق افتاد. به من خبر دادن ایشون گفته که ما بنا داریم آزاد کردن ایران رو.
US President Joe Biden made a controversial statement. He vowed to free Iran. He said that demonstrators working against the Iranian regime would soon succeed in freeing themselves. Why is the US president saying all this? The timing is significant, you see. The midterm elections are around the corner. The Democrats are in a tough position. Inflation, gas prices, lackluster messaging. All these factors are working against the Democratic Party. So tonight on Gravitas, in our cover story, we try and read between the lines. Are domestic crises forcing Joe Biden to make Iran into an issue? Stay with us. We'll discuss. Those pictures are more relevant today than ever before. In 1979, the US Embassy in Tehran was overthrown. A moment that has shaped America's relationship with Iran. A moment that firmly put the Ayatollah in power and started one of the biggest diplomatic crises in US history. 43 years later, America's relationship with Iran remains at rock bottom. And the latest comments coming from the current US president are raising the risk of a fresh conflict.